Welcome back to Carmi Cast, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Today's guest is Steve Smith. He is a Carmi native and a 1976 graduate from Carmi Community High School. He is a financial advisor with S.A. Stone Wealth Management. Their corporate offices are located in Birmingham, Alabama, and are members of FINRA and SIPC. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Steve Smith. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for inviting me. I'm really excited about being here as a guest of Carmi Cast.
Did the room intimidate you at all the equipment laying around?
No, after about 5 seconds maybe. Then after that, I was like, oh, okay, I get what this is.
We've had a lot of people walk in, and as soon as they see the cameras, freak out a little bit, but you did fine. So, Steve, for those listening that don't know what a financial advisor does, can you sum it up in a sentence or two what a financial advisor is?
Right. I mean, I could go on for several minutes about what a financial advisor does, but mainly I just help people plan and achieve their financial goals.
What would be some examples of those goals?
Well, the main goal of most of my clients is achieving retirement or getting to retirement.
As early as possible, I'm sure.
Yes. And for most of us, we only get one shot at getting it right. And
I guess that's a good point. There's not too many people that retire more than once.
Right. And, you don't want to have to go back to work or something like that. It's kind of a bummer.
Definitely not.
Yeah. So then after retirement, your status is going to need to be reviewed and monitored on a regular basis. Also the investment mix, and we need to look at changes in your personal life, economic conditions, other outside circumstances, past performance, so on. So generally, I like to do a review with clients every 6 months or every year at least.
And I would assume, like right now, if I said, here's how much money I need when I retire, it's not going to be enough come retirement time because of inflation. It's not going to be enough money 30 years from now.
Well, that's one thing you have to build into your plan. If you do a financial plan for somebody is looking at inflation, because it doesn't seem like much, but, inflation erodes your purchasing power over time, and you definitely don't want to outlive your money.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an example. When I turned 16, which I know it's going to be less for you, but I can remember filling up my 1993 Dodge Dakota with gas for the first time, and it was 99 cents a gallon. And now it's $3.47 or something like that.
Yeah.
So
it's expensive.
Things change. All right. So if retirement's the main goal, what are some other goals, I guess, people?
Well, that's a great question. When most people think of a financial advisor, they think of somebody that they just turn their money over to or whatever. And that is a big part of what we do, is helping people pick investments and, look at their overall allocation of, stocks or bonds, real estate, and so on. But there's a lot of other roles that we can play in helping people achieve their financial goals. Reducing your debt.
That's a big one.
Right. Keeping your taxes low. Increasing your spendable income, looking at your insurance, make sure you got the right kind of insurance, the right amount, explaining how Roth IRAs and traditional IRAs work. And then also on the investment side, mutual funds, annuities, individual stocks and bonds. People want to have those explained to them. And also then we can check up on your estate plans, beneficiaries, trust, and so on.
So that's actually a question I do have. What is the difference in a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA?
Well, to sum it up, in a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction up front. Okay, but then when the money comes out at retirement, it's taxed as regular income.
Gotcha.
Okay, so the Roth is the mirror image. You put money in a Roth, as long as you keep it there for 5 years or more. You can take your principal out anytime, but there's no tax deduction up front for a Roth, but when you take it out, it's tax-free. So it's kind of the mirror image of the traditional IRA.
So somebody my age, you would suggest Roth?
if you think taxes are going to increase in the future, which they probably are,
Yeah.
the Roth is the way to go because you don't get a tax deduction up front when tax rates are low, but then it comes out tax-free at a time maybe when tax rates are higher.
I had a job when I was, I want to say I was 24, 25, worked there for probably 4 years, and the owner of the place started me a Roth IRA. I forget how much money they put in it, and then if I put some in, they would match, I forget what percentage it was, and I've never looked at it since then, never messed with it. So
you took the Rip Van Winkle approach to investments.
What's Rip?
Well, you just sleep the time away. You'd never look at it, right?
And I guess that's probably a good thing for people.
It can be, yeah. It's better than looking at it every day. I'll just put it that way.
So I guess when somebody comes in, I mean, you really got to dig deep into their finances. Not just like somebody come in and say, "I want to do this." We
don't have to, but it's like a doctor. They want to take all your vitals. They want to know your medical history. They want to know, what medicines you're on. And so it's the same thing for a financial advisor. You can just tell us limited information, but then you're going to get a plan that's limited too.
Right.
So we'd like to get as much information as people feel comfortable in sharing and so forth. And so you have to earn that trust over time.
Credit cards bad, investments good.
In the long run, yes, of course.
So let's talk about a beginner. So somebody that's, 21 to 25, they work a 9-to-5 job. What would be, I guess, your advice?
Well, the number one thing I would tell people, and I tell this because I don't make anything off of it anyway, but the number one piece of advice I would give is to invest in your company's retirement plan. You get a tax break up front, just like an IRA, and the money accrues tax deferred. And if your company has a match, right there is 100% return on your money immediately.
So you put in 500, they put in 500.
Well, if you have 100% match, most companies,
Gotcha.
They limit it to like the first 5 or 6% or whatever of your contributions. They'll match it.
Yeah, that's just icing on the cake.
Well,
why wouldn't you do it?
Right. It's 100% return on your money. There's nobody out there that give you 100% return on your money right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then, also the traditional advice, live within your means, keep your debt low.
Don't spend more than you make.
Right. Don't compare yourself is one thing I stress too. Johnny or Susie may have different goals and risk tolerances than you do. So
I think social media has amplified that part of it. I think people sit at home and they see what everyone else has and does, and they think they need to have and do those things.
Before social media, I called that the cocktail party effect. Like you go to the cocktail party and Bobby brags about making 100% return on Netflix or Google or whatever. And, that's fine, but it may not be fine for you. And, maybe too late to get in on that. And you have
missed the train.
Right.
Yeah. So what would number 2 be?
As far as advice, well, again, living within your means, keeping your debt low. Also, try not to get anxious about the economic conditions, who's going to be the next president, all those kinds of things. It's, over the long run, it's not really going to have a huge impact on your...
I think that's good advice for life in general.
Yeah. Well, they're only been there for 4 years, 8 at the most, so that's going to come and go over the...
But every election I get, who's better for the stock market, so...
So you do stocks too?
Yeah, individual stocks and bonds, absolutely, yeah. I got the whole smorgasbord available to me.
One thing that has always confused me is cryptocurrency. Do you mess with that at all?
No, I don't.
I don't even understand it.
I'm not allowed to by my firm.
Well, that's probably a good thing.
So, if somebody wants to open a side account with a no frills broker or whatever, that's what they would have to do. But anyway, we'll see where this cryptocurrency stuff goes and how the governments handle it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a crapshoot right now, really.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West of stocks and trading. I think.
I don't know of any large firms that are allowing cryptocurrency investments. Now, there may be some out there, but
yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to steer clear of them. I don't know. I just don't even understand how it all works. It seems like fake money.
Yeah.
It's just sitting somewhere.
It seems like, like invisible monopoly money almost.
So any other advice for them?
Oh, for the beginners?
Yep, for the beginner.
Just keep your head down and don't let things bother you, like I said before, and stay in it for the long term. That's the traditional advice.
I'm assuming you guys have, I don't know, computer programs or something that you plug all this stuff into, and it kind of helps you.
Right. It's
design a menu for someone.
Well, when a client first comes in, we ask them to fill out, a little worksheet or whatever how
like
much
you do at a doctor.
Right. Exactly. And then I plug that all into the computer, and you're right. It's a financial planning software, and I have that. Mine is from Right Capital, and we not only look at retirement, but your net worth, cash reserves, insurance, tax planning, retirement planning, your investment allocations, estate planning.
So Right Capital actually designed this program then.
Right.
Well, at least it's somebody that knows what they're doing for sure.
Well, there's thousands of inputs that you can change around. You have to try to narrow it down to one or two scenarios. Otherwise it gets too confusing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just, the financial advising stuff, I've never went to the financial advisor. And it's probably because I feel like I don't have any extra money, but you probably hear that a lot from a lot of people.
I do.
And there's always some money somewhere or things you can do, I guess.
Right.
Or readjusting what you have to come up with more money.
Right.
Pay things off quicker. Don't, like you said, live within your means, which I think a lot of people have kind of lost that nowadays. But
anyway, so other tools that I use for, the macroeconomic conditions, I use RBC Capital Markets and my firm, S.A. Stone Wealth Management. They have a whole recommended list of mutual funds and individual stocks that their analysts have already looked at for you. And then also, as a double down on the research, I've subscribed to Morningstar, which gives me research on mutual funds and individual stocks.
I have another question. What happens if somebody just comes into a large sum of money? Family dies, parents are deceased, leave them land, whatever.
Okay.
You got advice for them?
Well, yeah, they're going to need a financial advisor more than ever. They're going to need to decide what to do with the parents' accounts. Also, some new questions may come up. Is there a person with a disability in the family that they might want to? You want to leave a legacy of maybe a scholarship fund or something like that. So it's going to change your goals, really, when that happens.
Can people prepay for their funerals? Is that a thing? Can you prepay for your funeral?
Yes, you can.
I think you can set like a fund up for it or something, correct? Something
No,
like
you
that?
can just go and, pay for it up front. Most people don't do that, though, until at least they're in their 70s or so.
I always hear these horror stories of, people whose parents get old and feeble and they end up in a nursing home. And it seems like that ends up just bleeding them dry. And I've heard people say, one thing they should do is go ahead and pay for your funeral. I mean, that's something that I guess they can't come back at you for. But
anyway, if you can't,
I've never really thought about it yet because my parents are still healthy, but the clock's ticking.
Right. Well, if you do have a financial windfall, like I said earlier, you're going to need a financial advisor more than ever.
You ready for the big question?
Sure.
So how do you get paid?
That is the number one question.
So,
People
you're not working for free.
Right. Well, there's basically three ways that I get paid. One is a upfront commission arrangement where the percentage of your amount invested is held back, and part of it goes to me, and part of it goes to my brokerage firm, and part of it goes to the fund company of the amount that's held back. And generally, that upfront commission can be anywhere from 5 3/4 to 1%. depending on how much money you invest with the fund company. So after you reach a certain level, then they start reducing the commission that you're paid.
So it's just like anything else. It's how much work are you going to have to do?
Well, I just think, let's just say you want to compare like to an account where you pay the advisor 1% a year for advice and strategies and so forth. Well, if you pay a 5% commission up front and that's all you ever pay going forward, then, in 5 years, you're basically the same, but everything is free after that. Or I won't say free, but there's no additional charge or whatnot.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll never have enough money to worry about that, I don't think.
It is,
I hope that I do.
And then the other way I get paid is through service fees. There's a $2.50 per thousand invested on most mutual fund companies that goes to the advisor.
That ain't bad.
Right. So like if you have $100,000 and you're going to pay $250 a year, for
That
this.
seems cheap.
I guess it's all relative to your point of view and so
Yeah.
forth. So there is the service fees. And now if you select a year by year plan, then you anywhere from 0.5% to 1.25. The traditional fee, depending on the complexity and the situation of the client's needs, is 1%.
Do you ever have people come in with, I shouldn't say unrealistic goals, because like if I come in and said, I want to have $1 million in 5 years, I know that's crazy and it's not going to happen. But although there's some people out there that could make that happen, I mean, do you ever run into people with unrealistic goals that you got to reel in a little bit?
Yeah, but more frequently what I have happen is somebody in their late 50s or early 60s, and they come to me and says, I just can't take my job anymore. Do I have enough money to retire,
Is there an age limit for that to come in and say? 'Cause
I never thought about that. People trying to retire early. That's probably,
Well, I mean, seriously, they know they can't, they probably could retire, but they can't retire and put all their money or their 401k rollover in really conservative investments. They're going to have to make a 5, 6, 7% return on their money.
right.
And now, of course, you're not going to earn that exact amount every year, but averaging over time.
It seems like nowadays, when people are getting ready to retire, it seems like one of their biggest worries is health insurance.
Right.
Because I don't know how old you got to be for government insurance to kick in.
Well, Medicare right now starts at 65.
So if somebody wants to retire at 62, they're thinking, I got to figure out insurance for 3 years.
Right.
Which is high.
We call that the insurance gap. You retire at 60, then how are you going to fill in the gap between 60 and 65, and usually I use like 2% for normal inflation, but for college and health insurance, I use somewhere 4 or 5% inflation to build into your plan,
Yeah, I always tell people this. When I graduated high school, if I would have asked my parents, hey, what's going to be my 3 biggest bills I'm going to have when I walk out into this crazy world, they probably would have said mortgage, car payment. I don't think they would have ever thought that health insurance. I mean, I know a lot of people that pay more in health insurance than their mortgage is.
Definitely.
And maybe I was just naive to that when I was younger, but I don't think it was always like that. I don't think health insurance was always this.
Most people, if they're going to retire, either have their house paid off or they've got it like 90% paid off or whatever. So, yeah, the health insurance is probably going to be one of their biggest expenses. Now, as far as the people that come in and they're like very aggressive, let's just say very aggressive to unrealistic, that's not a hard problem. You just show what the computer spit out.
Right.
And, it says you need to earn 20% every year to achieve your goal, and that's probably not very realistic.
So I guess my next question would be, I would say, what are your credentials? I mean, obviously you can't just walk up to some Tom, Dick, or Harry on the street and just invest money with them or have them manage your finances. So, I mean, how do you go about, I guess, how did you?
Well, the financial industry is probably one of the most regulated industries in the whole United States. It's very strict. So you have to pass
Well,
it.
sure, it deals with money.
Right.
The government wants their
You're
hands
talking
on
about
that.
people's money and retirement plans and so forth. Yeah, and the government doesn't want to take care of people.
Right.
They'd rather have them in the private market taking care of their retirement and not coming to the government. So, yeah, you have to pass what they call the Series 7 exam, and you have to have a sponsoring firm to take the exam. And once you get that, then you're licensed to...
So how do you do that? You just, hey, I want to take this exam, come and work for you, and they sponsor you?
Yeah, you got to be hired by a brokerage or financial planning firm first.
Is this the company you started out with?
No, I started in 1994 with American Express Financial Advisors. So I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Oh, wow. Do you feel like staring at numbers all day makes you crazy?
It depends on what time of the year it is. If it's cold and snowy outside, it's not too bad to be looking at numbers.
So it said you, my notes here that you'd give me a couple weeks ago said you graduated in 1981 from Eastern in Illinois?
Yes. I got a Bachelor of Science in Accounting from Eastern Illinois University.
And I think I have one of your business cards that you gave me a few years ago.
Okay.
And it scared me because I'm pretty sure it said like a licensed IRS agent or something. It said something IRS.
Enrolled agent with the IRS.
Yeah. And I was like, eh.
Well, we're
Get away from me.
Yeah, get out of here.
I know that sounds. I know that's the name that we have to use once we're licensed with the. I don't know why they picked that,
Right.
but really, I don't work for the IRS. It just all enrolled agent means is I can represent you in front of the IRS about your taxes.
Gotcha.
It makes you sound a lot more official, though. Any of those acronyms, if you put it on a business card, you're there.
Out of all the 3-letter organizations, the one that freaks me out the most is the IRS.
Yeah.
We love you, IRS.
Yeah.
So then after I've lived in the Chicago area for about 20 years.
How was that?
It's different, you know.
Bet.
Well, the bright lights and all the fun stuff that goes on is great when you're young. But as you get older, you're like, traffic is driving me crazy. You know, I'm paying all these taxes and fees just to have a car in my garage. And
When I was younger, we would go to Chicago twice a year. My mom, at the time, taught Reading Recovery, and the Reading Recovery Convention was in Chicago. And my dad was on the NCOE school board, and the school board convention was in Chicago, so they would take us with them. And I remember very little of it, but one thing I do remember vividly, and me and my brother just thought this was the funniest thing ever. We would, of course, you have to take cabs, or back then, you had to take cabs everywhere you went. And we'd be sitting at a red light, and as soon as that thing turned green, 15 people would honk. Now, if you honk at somebody here, I mean, it's like, oh, well, don't do that. But there, we just thought it was funny, and I'm assuming it's because they want everyone to know that light's green. I don't care who you are. It's green. Go. Get out of the way.
It's like the crickets. You hear the crickets here all the time, but you don't hear them there.
Yeah, I always wondered if, even when I moved to Evansville, I mean, I was a country boy my entire life, moved to Evansville, and for the first couple of weeks, I had a hard time sleeping just because you could hear the traffic.
Yeah.
Trains, traffic, semis, you name it. Like, how do people sleep with all this noise? But then when I moved back, it took me a while to get adjusted back to no noise.
complete silence.
Yeah, so I can understand it. So it didn't take you long to decide, I'm getting out of here.
Oh, well,
20 years worth.
Yeah, 20 years worth. It's like, okay, I've done the Bears and the Cubs games and the lake and all the fun stuff, and so decided just dial back on the hectic lifestyle.
So I'm assuming when you moved back here is when you started for the company you're with now?
Well, not exactly. No, I did move to Evansville for a while, got married, and that didn't work out. So I moved back to Carmi.
And now he's my neighbor.
There you go.
Right down the road.
So yeah, in the early 90s, I went to night school at DePaul, and I got a double MBA in finance and economics.
Oh, wow. How many years did that take you?
It took me 2 years.
2 years to get a double?
Yeah. Yeah,
Took me 5 years to get just a bachelor's.
I would take
me too.
5.5 years, actually.
I would take a class on Tuesday night, and then another one on Thursday night, and then another one on Saturday morning.
You got more energy than me. All right, so if anybody out there listening wants to come and see you, how do they contact you?
Well, there's several ways, of course, in the age of the internet to contact me. One is you can send me an email at stephen.smith@saswealth.com. That's stephen.smith@saswealth.com. And then I also have a website, stephensmithfinancial.com, or you can just give me a call, 812-484-9338.
And do you have an office somewhere?
I have a home office.
Cool. All right, well, that's a good spot to take a break. Let's get these headphones off, let our ears cool down, and we will be right back with Stephen Smith.
When it comes to engagement rings, the first thing that probably comes to mind is expensive. And why wouldn't it? 3 months' wages on a ring? That's crazy. And let's be honest, you know nothing about diamonds. It's all intimidating. I'm Cody Gottman, owner of HD Bean Jewelers, and I want to change how you feel about buying that engagement ring. I stock in-style engagement rings that are at a great price, and we put the extra effort in to help you understand what you're buying. We even offer service after the sale, sizing, a lifetime warranty, and a convenient cleaning plan that can't be beat. Thinking about a custom engagement ring? We can handle that. All our custom rings are built start to finish in-house, and you get to work with a professional jeweler, not some salesperson. If you're ready for a new way to buy an engagement ring, stop by our showroom, downtown Carmi, or give me a call, 618-382-8170. I can't wait to be your jeweler.
All right, so we are back. Thanks for hanging in there. Our guest is Steve Smith. So I know you don't stare at numbers all day. We want to make you seem a little more human. I can't remember who told me this, but they said that I'm pretty sure he used to umpire.
Yes, I did.
How many years did you spend umpiring?
7 years.
So I'm assuming you're a baseball fan.
Well, yes, I was licensed in track and field, girls softball, boys baseball, basketball, football.
You want to explain to everybody the Infield Fly Rule?
Runners advance at their own risk. You know, first base cannot be occupied if there's less than 2 outs.
I remember playing here in Carmi. It would have been Major League. When I played, I think it was T-ball, minor league, Major League, Babe Ruth. I think I was doing the Major League. And a batter stepped into the box, had both feet in the box, didn't have his hand up, calling for time or whatever.
Right.
And the pitcher threw the ball. He knew, but the pitcher knew the batter wasn't ready. Threw the ball. Of course, everybody threw a fit over it. But I guess, and maybe I'm wrong, and you may not know this since you haven't done it for a while, even if they don't have their hand up, I think in the rules it states they got to have ample time to be ready. Like the pitcher has to know that the batter's ready. You can't just immediately launch the ball as soon as he steps into the box.
Baseball's a little different, but in girls softball, the umpire is supposed to use, people can't see it, but if they're just listening, but they're supposed to stick their left hand out
The ump does?
To the pitcher, saying, I'm ready.
Gotcha.
It doesn't matter if the batter's ready, just I'm ready. You can pitch.
Yeah, there's baseball seems like a simple sport if you watch it, but there's a lot of rules that are confusing.
Well, back to
people,
the infield fly rule, there has to be very obvious that the ball in the air is going to be caught.
Matter of fact, I was watching a Major League game one time, and the ball was technically hit into the outfield, but the shortstop was the one that drew back to catch it. And I guess it was still considered an infield fly rule since he was the one that was
right
going to be catching the ball. And of course, the coaches ended up on the field and they were arguing over the rule because it ended up in the outfield. But I guess it doesn't matter where it landed. It could land all the way in the outfield, but if an infielder made it out there to catch it, it's still...
Well, the reason for that is if the umpire says infield fly rule, the batter's out, and the girls are supposed to, or the boys are supposed to know the rule. So if I say infield fly rule, batter's out, again, they can advance at their own risk. If somebody catches it and throws to first and they're
double play,
exactly.
I was also told to ask you why you were called the Tomato Man.
Yeah, some people call me that.
That might be is it a story you can tell?
Sure. My dad always had a huge garden. We lived in a farm, out in rural Carmi, and he always had more than what we needed. And he just got a great joy in giving away, vegetables and to his friends and family and so forth. And so
I've got a neighbor like that with eggs. They got more eggs than they know what to do with.
Right. And so after my father passed in 2019, I decided to kind of take that up as a way of honoring my dad. And last year I had 48 tomato plants.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, wow.
So
my dad has 4 and has more than he knows what to do with.
Yeah, I have 2, and I don't even like tomatoes anymore.
So anyway, I get it. Like my father, I get a lot of joy in handing them out to my clients and friends and family or neighbors or whatever.
With that many, you would have to start juicing them, I would think.
I do juice them.
Yeah, to just have
It's a
tomato
big
juice out
It's
there.
a big it's a once or twice ordeal each year, but
the sit-down juicing day?
yeah, well, you need a sawhorse and you need your juicer and you need a utility sink to put the tomatoes in. So before you juice them, they're, cleaned off and so forth. And then you have to have a waste bucket, and then you have to have your stock pot so that where the juice comes out. Usually I do like 50 or 100 tomatoes at a time. That gives you, 3 to 4 gallons juice.
Have you ever canned anything?
No, not personally.
It seems like that's
I watched my grandparents do it all
dying
the
hobby.
Well, because of the pandemic, there was a huge increase in the interest of gardening because people were, it was a shutdown or shelter in place or whatever. And so there's been in August, you couldn't go into any of our local retail stores and find canning supplies because they were just off the shelves.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Everybody went to the store and they bought all the toilet paper they could and all the tomato seeds they could find.
Yeah.
But I'd say everybody didn't know what the supply chain was going to look like. And hey, look at it now. It's worse. The supply chain's worse now than or if, at least for my industry, it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the middle of summer, it's, a burger off the grill, some sweet corn, and it's sliced up tomatoes. That's hard to beat.
That's right. You're also a bulldog booster.
Right.
What's a bulldog booster?
Basic,
Boost the bulldogs?
Boost the bulldogs and write out a check.
But your main thing is you're a member of the Kiwanis.
Yes.
How's that going?
Well, as you know, we did not have a corn day in 2020, and that was disappointing, I know, to a lot of people.
Yep.
But so I was really excited about, doing a part in the 2021 Corn Day. And I've been a member of Kiwanis for 2 years now, and I serve on the board. And so I started with the hospitality tent on Corn Day. I was sort of manning the booth, so to speak, and selling half-pot tickets. And then
Dale won that.
That had a big turnout, wasn't it? $6,000 or so?
I thought it was like 9,600 or something.
More like, the total was about 20,000.
That's what they won. Whoever won it was like
no. Then they get half of it. Okay, that's why they call it a half pot.
Yeah,
I could be wrong.
They got close
I
to
10,000.
96. Yeah, like $9,600. Yeah,
it's a nice shot in the arm.
Yeah,
right before the holiday season.
Well, again, I got to get my tax stuff in here. Of course, they have.
Yeah, pay taxes on it. Of course they do.
Yeah.
You know what? Although I would like to win the half pot at Corn Day, I would have much rather won the half pot at.
Oh my! What did it finally get to?
The fall festival.
The fall festival.
Last time I saw it was like 660,000.
It got over. I think
it got over $1 million.
Yeah, before Saturday of Fall Fest, I don't know this for a fact, but I heard a few people tell me that it got up to 1.2, which usually means on Saturday the higher it gets, the faster it gets higher.
Right.
It's just like the Queen of Hearts drawing. Once that pot, the bigger the pot gets, the faster it gets bigger.
I mean, mathematicians here, if you win 1.2, then you split it in half, you get what, 550,000?
600,000.
And
So
then
what
what
would you
does the
actually,
government get?
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, the government up front is probably going to get, 25 or 30% federal and 5 or 10% state.
So you're really only getting half of a half pot, almost.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
But that doesn't mean you'll end up, you might get some, if 25% might be, it depends on the rest of your other income, but.
Yeah.
I won't say any names. I know a guy that is related to a guy. This was probably a month ago. He stopped and bought a $20 scratch-off ticket, hit it for $1 million.
Man.
Drove to Springfield a few days later to, I guess you could just drive up there and get your money.
Yeah.
And after it was all said and done, he only won like 600-something thousand after.
Oh no.
Which, right? I mean, I wouldn't be complaining, but that's a big chunk.
Can't you do? You can do all of it at once, or you can do like payments, right, for the rest.
Yeah,
of your life
I don't know on
something?
$1 million, and I know the Powerball and stuff.
Oh yeah, you can take a lifetime payment
for you.
You can take a lifetime payment, but almost nobody does that.
Is that because they don't trust the government to have that
No,
money?
they
20
just
years
want
from
their
now?
money up front. You know.
I mean, I would too.
Well, you're a financial advisor. If I won the Powerball for $1 billion,
Okay.
let's say after taxes it's going to be $660 million. Would you tell me? Would you suggest I take it all right then, or do the 20-year annuity?
Well, you want the mathematical financial answer to that, or you want the emotional answer?
I want both.
Both. Let's start with the mathematical one.
Mathematically, probably you're better off taking the lifetime payouts.
Because you end up with more money.
Well, you're going to not have so much of a taxed because you're not getting it all at once. It's like you're getting taxed on 1/20th. Let's just say your life expectancy was another 20 years. So you're only paying taxes on 1/20th of it each year.
Right. What's the emotional answer?
Give me my money.
Yeah. I think that would matter your age too. Like if my dad hit the Powerball,
Right. Yeah.
probably pull it all. But if I hit it, I've hopefully got another 40 or 50 years on me.
See, this is just me. I feel like that if I signed up for the 20-year deal, I would spend the next 20 years worried sick that I'm going to get hit by a bus or
Or somebody's going to take you out.
contract the Delta variant.
Well,
something crazy.
Yeah.
And
I'm not sure.
End up the government gets to keep it all anyway, and my kids are just mattering hell at me.
Well, so we get into some financial stuff here. I'm not sure how the Indiana, Kentucky, Illinois lotteries work, but as far as buying an annuity, which is like a yearly annual salary or payment or payout or whatever, you can do period certain.
Period certain?
Yes, that's the technical name for it. So if you're afraid you're going to get hit by a bus, you take the 25-year period certain or the 20-year period certain. So if you get hit by the proverbial bus in the 6th year,
It still pays.
it pays out whatever's left. If you shows a 10-year period certain, it'll pay out 4 more years.
Yeah, I think I'd just take the lump sum and say, thank you, government. We are no longer in business
Right.
together.
I'll never see you again.
So anyway, getting back to Kiwanis, it's a great civic organization.
Oh, yeah.
They do a lot. And I know like the Lions, they do the eye care glass thing. And our slogan is serving the children of the world, and the specialty is the spina bifida.
I don't know if I could think of a single event in Carmi that draws more business than Corn Day.
No.
Oh yeah, most of the restaurants, as you know, and the bars
do well.
Do very well. Yeah, exactly.
I'd say that Corn Day keeps most places around here open.
Yeah,
that one year, that one weekend.
Right. And we have a lot of fun too, like, driving the corn car.
I was getting ready to say, I saw you driving the corn car North City, I think.
Right, for Dairy Days, yeah.
Did it have problems starting out?
Yes, it did. So anyway, Rod Matzel, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Rod.
Yeah.
He has the car and keeps it up to date. It's only used used in the fall for Mule Day and Grayville Days and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I the day before Dairy Days, I went to Rod's and he pulled the car out. And, of course, it was manual stick, which I hadn't driven like that in 40 years. So it took me, and also you can't turn the wheels so far because the
corn cob gets in the way.
Yeah, exactly. You're rubbing your tires against the thing. So it took me about 30 minutes before I got the hang of it. And then, of course, then the next day, Saturday, you're driving on the road, and that thing will only do about 45 miles an hour. So I had my hand out the window saying, go.
Had a big corn cob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Get around me.
I got there and I lined up, and we're on the one street that turns right onto the main street there in North City where the parade route goes. And the left side of the block of numbers, they got their turn. And then it was the right side, which I was parked on. And I turned the key, nothing. Turned it again. So finally, Doug Hayes and a couple other people pushed me back about, 30 yards or so or whatever. And then
rolled it and started
rolled it. And I was like, is this really going to work? And so anyway, I popped that clutch and it worked. You wouldn't believe it worked. So,
well, I was actually marching in that parade with my cousin because he's running for sheriff. And after we took off, he's like, I think they're having problems with the corn car. And
one year
they
did it. They burn out the clutch on it. Because see, you're clutching all the time.
Well, I was going to say the worst thing you could do in a stick shift vehicle
be in a parade
is be in a parade where you got to start, stop, drive 5 mile an hour.
Yeah, and so after I got it started, everybody's yelling at me, "Don't let it die! Don't let it die! Don't let it die!"
That's probably why everybody was like, "Why does that guy keep revving his engine at us?" Do you know what kind of car it actually is?
I don't know. Rod bought it in Kentucky, so it was.
Because it's long.
It is very
right.
It's not a normal
It's
car.
a Frankenstein.
And also,
car,
you can't open the doors.
Oh, so you got to Dukes of Hazzard it.
Yeah, you have to get in and out of it through the roof. So I took a bunch of pictures, posted on Facebook, and I think I got 125 likes or something. Everybody was laughing at it.
Well, that car's been around for a long time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. That's not the one they had back, though, in the 70s and 80s and stuff. They've got another one.
Before my time.
But still, we've had a car in the Corn Day Parade, the Kiwanis have, for years and years and years.
Yeah, matter of fact, that's how, for the listeners out there, that's kind of how, how we met him, but the Kiwanis asked Carmi, I guess you guys have like a speaker come to your meetings or whatever.
We have a program. Most every meeting, every Thursday, we have a program. And you guys were part of our program that one day.
Yep, and that's kind of what gave you the wild hair to come and do this, wasn't it?
Right. It's been a lot of fun.
See, it was interesting because normally when people come in here, they get nervous to talk to us. But me and Denton walked in and we were like, we did not expect this. We didn't expect there to be that many people.
It's like, hey, they're feeding us.
Yeah. I was like, okay, well, we got to be quiet.
Yeah, I don't like getting up in front and speaking in front of a bunch of people, which is weird because I'm assuming there's way more people that are going to listen to this than are there, but they're not standing here staring at me.
Exactly.
Either. And I know that we've got the edit button over there.
My fly can be unzipped in here if needed be.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. Anything else you want to go over?
No, thanks for having me, and I think I put my word out there, and I appreciate you letting me do that.
Yeah, let's tell people one last time how they get a hold of you if they want to seek your services out.
Email, it's stephen.smith@saswealth.com. And then you can go to my website, which is stephensmithfinancial.com. Or you can call me at 812-484-9338.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. Everybody, thanks for tuning in.
I hope it's been funny and informative.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yep. And I'm headed to this store to get a lottery ticket. See you next time.